Good morning, everyone. Our first talk today is titled We Have Fun and Get Things Done Remote Work Practices for Small Teams, presented by Clark Parkinson and Allie Thorpe. Allie and Clark are project manager and developer working at Dev Collaborative. They will be discussing the tools and tactics that their team uses to keep everyone focused and friendly. Allie will speak from a project manager's perspective. Uh, with insight into scheduling, estimating, resource allocation. Claire will describe how their team works from developers' perspective. Everyone give a warm welcome to Allie and Claire.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining Claire and me today. We're here to describe how we have fun and get things done. Our talk is geared toward all WordPress audiences, whether you're a freelancer, a solo entrepreneur, or a regular old employee. The goal is to provide insight into what works for our small remote team. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to thank and congratulate our WordCamp Montclair sponsors, volunteers, and organizers. So I'm Allie. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Senior Digital Project Manager at Dev Collaborative. And my favorite part of working remotely is the flexibility to make my own day.
Hi, I'm Claire. I use pronouns she, her, and I'm a developer at Dev Collaborative. And my favorite part of working remotely is getting laundry done in between tasks.
We are a fully remote, fully distributed team of developers, product owners, project managers, and collaborators working solely with nonprofit agencies in WordPress and Drupal.
So Dev Collaborative's core team is 9 full-time employees, mostly in New England. There's a few of us in the Midwest, and our product owner is out in Denver. We also have clients and contractors on the West Coast, clients in Europe, and we work with contractors internationally. I live near Chicago, and Allie's in Western Mass.
Our core team uses something in the neighborhood of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. working hours in their local time zone, with a required 80% overlap between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Other than being available during our core overlap hours, we manage our own daily schedules. We take time out for breaks, errands, and household tasks, and we'll talk later about how we keep each other up to date on whether we're at our desks at any given time. The first thing DevCollab uses is an introductory user guide. This is the intro slide to my user deck. We each have a slide deck with some basic information, personalized as much or as little as desired. The information is relevant to work, like communication preferences, and there's some personal information like hobbies and pets. We use them for introductions when onboarding new colleagues to learn about each other. A link to our sample user guide will be provided at the end of this presentation, and some examples of slides will be shown throughout the presentation. I've been in digital project management since 2011, overseeing Drupal and WordPress builds and associated maintenance that whole time. I focus on client satisfaction, team cohesion, getting buy-in on decisions, and most importantly, I try to make sure my team is having a good time while they're doing the work.
And I'm Claire. I'm the WordPress development lead at Dev Collaborative. Dev Collaborative has about 24 WordPress sites that we're supporting, maintaining, building new features on, or reconstructing. And my job is fixing and supporting things. I tell clients, I'm primarily a backend developer. I tell clients I'm like a mechanic. I make things work. I don't make them pretty. I always work with a front-end developer who is responsible for making things pretty. So I'm doing like custom blocks, plugins, integrating with third-party APIs, just making sure everything's running on the server in the database. And fortunately, I love weird old WordPress sites. I enjoy fixing them up and maintaining them like some people fix classic cars. I've been working remotely since 2005, and that was mostly as an independent contractor. I started with Dev Collaborative in 2017, and that was the first time I'd worked with a team in over 10 years, and there was a bit of a learning curve as I got used to collaborating closely with people again.
So I worked as an on-site employee until the COVID pandemic shut down the industry I was working in. There were pros and cons to working in person, and as a natural extrovert, I enjoy seeing people in real life and working out problems in real time. What I didn't enjoy was the drive to work every day and the complex interpersonal relationships that happened all around us, because those dynamics can be difficult when in person.
I'm an introvert. enjoy working at home. I enjoy not having a commute. Like I said, I've been working at home for 20 years now. That has affected a lot of how I work and how I interact with people, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that during our presentation.
So Claire and I realized at different moments in our careers that we wanted the same things: autonomy over our days in a stable working environment with compassionate people working towards a common goal.
So we're all familiar with the benefits of remote work. Some of us work better in solitude and quiet. Being able to control your schedule means that you can control where you're spending your energy, what you're doing, and it leads to a better work-life balance. The stereotype is that you are sitting at home.
Oh, sorry.
The stereotype is that you're sitting at home in your pajamas, you've got snacks, you've got your streaming media open in another tab, and you're just not getting any work done. When in fact, it's possible that you as a remote employee will be more productive than your in-person office counterparts. And that's because you have more autonomy and independence. However, the flip side is that you have more autonomy and independence, and so do your coworkers.
And that can make things harder, especially in a team environment. We as remote employees need to have a strong and disciplined approach to our work in order to stay ahead. DevCollab does this in two ways: fostering camaraderie and using collaborative tools. We'll dive into these areas for the rest of our talk.
This is our team, our 9 employees at one of our yearly meetups. This was in Chicago, where Miranda and I live. So first we're going to talk about the practices that we use to maintain team cohesion, and then we're going to talk about some of the services that help us do that. So when you're on a team, obviously, you need to know and trust each other in order to work together effectively. If you are working together in a physical environment, you develop a base level of familiarity with each other just by being in the same space. You get to see what people look like when they're focused, when they're ready to take a break, what their energy levels look like throughout the day. When you're working with people remotely, you don't have that baseline level of familiarity to get to know each other. So you need to make a specific effort to develop knowledge and trust with the other people on your team.
DevCollab is owned and led by 2 human beings who seem to always start from a place of compassion and empathy. They model this for the rest of the team as a company value. This fosters the trust that Claire was talking about while building upon a values-based framework. All these concepts and suggestions took years for them and for us to figure out in the business and then to document as processes.
So we respect each other's time and capacity, and we're trying to build familiarity with each other via online social interactions. So part of respecting someone's time is acknowledging their presence. If you were in a physical space, an office with someone, you would greet each other in the morning. On our team, Allie starts off our day each morning with a greeting on Slack.
We're in several time zones, and therefore we have core overlapping hours, as I mentioned before. And I start my day between 9 and 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So I give a little good morning shout in our water cooler Slack channel, and as people roll in, they wave hello to the crew. It tends to be a nice way to start the day and sets a good tone. We use Slack a lot. We tend to organize around project-based channels on the work side and subject-oriented channels on the socializing side. Our general chit-chat channel includes DevCollab employees as well as contractors and design partners. We have a water cooler, which is DevCollab employees only, like gathering around the water cooler in an office. Open Sauce is where we share recipes, food recipes. The OOO notice, highlighted in the screenshot, is a real-time view into who's available at the moment and who is away from their computer. This is how we keep each other updated on our availability throughout the day. On the more structured side, project talk happens in project channels, and private conversations and constructive feedback happen back channel or in smaller groups. Back to respecting people's time. There's a balance between work and real life to be had in every single interaction. Claire?
So I'm an introvert, so I have opinions about socializing. It takes effort for me. But I acknowledge that it's important for people to socialize. It's how we relate to each other as people, especially when you're not in the same physical space. It's important for us as coworkers to socialize so we develop familiarity. It's also important for us to socialize with our clients because of so much of what we say in meetings is technical or abstract or hard to follow. We need our clients to trust us even if they don't fully understand what we're saying, And so we need that familiarity. We need to deliberately build it. And I know that I can't just breeze into Zoom, drop my technical recommendations, and leave, because that's off-putting. No one would listen to me, no matter how correct I am. So I acknowledge it's important for everyone on the team to socialize. So during work talks, we're not just talking about work.
Yeah. The subjects we socialize on often include weather. Everyone experiences different weather on a remote team. New industry facts and tools, upcoming or recent trips, and some professionally articulated personal details appropriate to your workspace. It's generally okay to converse on what's visible in someone's video window. Artwork and pets come to mind. I move from my indoor office to my outdoor patio on warm enough days, and we often chat about the wildlife that I can see. In fact, one day a few years ago, I was working from my patio and I was taken surprised by a squirrel on a client call. Uh-oh. Oh, no. There's supposed to be a video here. Should I tell you the squirrel story without the video?
It's going.
Oh, it's there. Good. Okay, thank you. All right. So I had been in my yard, and this little squirrel had been with me in the fenced-in yard, but he had kept his distance. And while I was on this client call, he came over to my patio. I sort of panicked and told my client, there's a squirrel in my yard, and he looks a little drunk. And then my panic won, and I showed them the squirrel. So they've seen this squirrel in my yard, this poor little guy. I ended up calling my local animal control officer, who confirmed my suspicion. He had eaten a fermented apple in my yard and just needed some time to let it run through his system. Fast forward 3 years, and recently, 3 weeks ago, I was on a call with the same client who asked what happened with the drunk squirrel. So this is a fun way that we can connect with a client, and in the long run, it helped us get more done. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, there we go. As you can tell, I'm a total extrovert. I could probably talk to a stump. And all meetings, even strictly agenda-based meetings and constructive ones, are fun for me. I happen to also be a US Navy veteran, and camaraderie and cohesion are very important to me for that reason as well. So Claire knows that she's getting work done on an hourly, daily, and weekly basis. But I only know Claire is getting work done by looking at her timesheet and seeing which tickets have moved. To combat this, we have check-ins as a company, as a platform, and on a project-by-project basis. So Dev's Collab structure is a Monday all-staff meeting, starts with our WordPress team. We have a 15-minute overlap meeting with everybody, and then another meeting with the Drupal team, and a Friday midday check-in that's all hands as well. In between, the project teams meet as needed.
So I'm not an extrovert, and for me, having a known schedule of meetings is really great because it helps me control my capacity for social interaction. I'm a human. I need to see people every once in a while and talk to them. And having worked at home quietly typing by myself for so long, I need to make sure to schedule face-to-face interaction with people into my day for my mental health, the same way someone else might schedule time for physical exercise into their day for their physical health. But there's a balance. Too much socializing, and I can't relate to people competently. So having a known schedule of meetings is really great for me because I can plan ahead and sort of ration my social energy throughout the week. That way, when I show up to a meeting, I can be engaged with the team, I can be paying attention and focus, and I can give energy back to the team. And that's part of respecting each other's needs and being aware of each other's capacity deliberately on a remote team.
The in-person retreat?
Oh, yeah, sorry, didn't really change the slides. Okay, so besides the scheduled meetings every week, Dev Collaborative has a yearly in-person retreat. So we get together in a physical location in, Allie will go into the details, but what I want to share is a quote from one of our 2 principals in Dev Collaborative who believe that meeting in person at least once a year is absolutely essential to team cohesion. Johanna says, when there's interpersonal tension, it's often completely reset after meeting in person. It provides a way to normalize our relationships with each other and relate as people not just as tiny faces on Zoom. So it doesn't seem like it would be necessary to meet in person if you're a remote team, but it really took Dev Collaborative a few years to figure out how important it is.
So we spend 4 days together. 2 days are breakfast, followed by formal business tasks from 9 to 5, and company dinner. 2 days are traveling and socializing. Evenings have varied between company gatherings and games and exploring the area that we're in. In 2024, DevCollab lost 2 longtime employees and hired 2 new employees. So we've also figured out some things related to onboarding.
So these are the user slides that we talked about earlier. This is a template that we give to new hires and contractors to help them fill out their slides. And we're going to walk through quickly what these slides are. These are Allie slides. So what we do when we're onboarding someone is we have a group meeting on Zoom, and everyone just briefly goes through their slides as a way of introducing themselves. So there's preferred working hours, depending on what time zone you're in, and then work preferences, when your productivity peaks and the type of communication you like, conversational style, really useful, especially when you're on Zoom and you're not sure whether you're accidentally interrupting someone, enthusiastically agreeing, or whether the dead silence means that nobody heard you, or that they're politely waiting to make sure you're done. And the other one is the communications, it's like the love language, except it's care language. It's how you express gratitude and appreciation to your team members. And that's as important in a coworker relationship as it is in any other kind of relationship. And so this seems like kindergarten level stuff, but like I said, when you're not physically together, you don't have the basic socialization that you get when you're present together. So it's actually really useful to not just see how other people present themselves, but to deliberately think through how you work with other people.
Bingo card. Bingo card, right?
Oh, yeah, bingo card. Okay, I invented this one. I'm proud of this. So this is part of our onboarding. So we have 24 WordPress websites, and new hires need to be familiar with them. And it would be super boring to just have a list of 24 WordPress websites and go through and read the documentation. So we do DevCollab WordPress Client Bingo, where we think of features that our websites share, and then people come to the meeting, to the Zoom meeting, and everybody gets a bingo card that's been randomized. And then we give the new person a tour of the sites, just sort of reading through them and explaining them. And we play bingo. It's super fun for me, and it's fun enough that other people who don't need to be involved show up to the meeting. I haven't heard any complaints from the people being onboarded. It might be a little overwhelming to be inundated with so much fun and, and information at the same time. But yeah, it works for us.
Oh, I skipped mine. Okay, DevCollab provides an official DevCollab branded hoodie to each new employee when they join the team, as well as long-term clients and contractors. Occasionally throughout the year, the owners will offer to buy the team lunch. We do social hours, we do games, and every now and then we send each other gifts. So what you're seeing here are the emotional support dumpster fires that everyone received earlier this year. So that's how we have fun, build camaraderie, and get to know and trust each other at DevCollab.
Yay, team cohesion. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the services that actually help us get work done together.
All right, remote teams need collaborative tools in order to work together. We've already discussed one of those tools, Slack. The other primary tools we use are Asana, Harvest and Forecast, Instagant, Pantheon, 1Password, Google Workspace, and Zoom or Google Meet. We've found these tools to be appropriate for our small team, and there are comparable tools for larger scale teams. It's likely true that you can interject the name of your tool with DevCollabs as we talk. This is not name brand specific. We're coming from project manager and developer roles, and we each use these tools differently, but in a collaborative way. If time permits, we'll dive into the specific ways our roles use these tools, but for now, we'll be focused on where we overlap. We're going to start with Asana, our ticketing system. All communication about a task or feature is collected in one place, accessible to all, including our clients.
So Asana is a work management system. You can create tasks or tickets, and then you put the details of what needs to be done. You can set a due date and assign it to a particular person. The main point of this is so that you have a central place with all the information about the work that needs to be done. Information, if it's emailed, can get stuck in a single person's inbox, or it can be caught in the reply to some other subject, and you can never track it down later. We actually even copy and paste text from emails into Asana just to make sure that everything is in the correct place. So central sort of repository for information. It also serves, because it's searchable, it serves as a record of previous development, so you can look up your previous fixes, figure out what might have went wrong in the past. And if we can look at it, we can actually see how we organize the phases of projects and the particular stage each task is in. And yeah, so we have phases. Whoa.
This is what you wanted, right?
Sure, yeah. So our phases are in this column. It's like BED, FED, launch, pre-launch, post-launch, discovery phase. And then we also have the stage the task is in, which would be in another column or a drop-down, and that's whether it's backlog, on hold, actively being worked on, ready for review, or ready for deployment. And I think it's important to note that none of this was top-down mandated. This either grew organically over time, this organizational structure grew organically from how we were using the tool, or it was developed in discussion between managers and developers. And whenever someone has a good idea for a new phase or stage or a new process, they can bring it up in one of our Friday all-hands team meetings for everyone to discuss and decide whether we want to implement it.
Okay. Due dates on the Asana board are driven by the schedule, the order of the backlog, and the team's capacity. Asana integrates with our time tracking software. We use Harvest. If we have time, we'll show you a demo of this in action. But in short, we use Harvest to track every minute that we're working. I use Harvest to track budgets and velocity.
And I use Harvest to track time to specific tasks and buckets. If I don't track my time accurately, Allie doesn't have an accurate representation of the remaining budget on a project.
The Harvest Asana integration allows anyone on the team to click a timer in an Asana ticket and log time to Harvest. When the timer is stopped and saved, there's a link to the Asana ticket in the Harvest notes, and in Asana, you can see how much time has been tracked to that task.
I like the time tracker because it helps me focus on individual tasks. The actual act of going and finding another ticket and starting the timer on it helps me context switch between clients and projects so that I can be focused on whatever I'm doing next.
Our primary and most collaborative forecasting tool is Harvest Forecast. It allows individual allocation views and project views, both shown here. At our Monday all-hands meetings, after a few minutes of socializing, we speak with the WordPress and Drupal teams, and then we review that week's allocations and try to correct anything blocking forward momentum.
I find this useful because I'm easily distracted by shiny new tasks, so having a week-long overview of what I need to get done and how much time per day that averages out to helps me stay productive.
Next, Claire's going to describe some of the more technical tools that we use.
Okay, so basic DevOps or WebOps. If you are a solo freelancer, you might be using some of these for safety, security, peace of mind. These are the basic elements. You need different environments. You need a way to move code, database, and files between them easily. Everyone needs automatic backups and restoration. And when you're working with others, you need Git version control so you're not getting each other's way. This was part of what was hard for me to learn when I went from working solo to working on a team. And we get the first 4 of these from Pantheon Hosting. Like Allie said, none of this is brand specific. There's other configurations that are suitable for small teams. Other reputable hosts have many of the same services. You can integrate your Git repository with free or low-cost tools. So the main point is that as a team, you need to have structure in your site building so that you can stay out of each other's way and that work is always recoverable.
I don't think I see anything there, do I?
No. So We're on
We're on the next.
practices. Okay, so regardless of what your DevOps setup is, on a small team, what we found works is just simplifying things, reducing complexity, reducing abstraction. So we standardize tools and services across the sites. All our sites are hosted on Pantheon. There's one system of web apps to learn. It's very easy to learn. There's no need to learn or maintain an extra system for some weird one-off site. And it's easy to onboard people. We also standardize tools and services across the team. We all use Git Kraken. We all use VS Code. We all use Lando for our local development environment because that allows us to pool our knowledge and help each other troubleshoot and lets us basically just pull together in the same direction more efficiently because we're all kind of aware of what our shared tools are, what the functionality is. We can step in and help each other. We also make sure to document processes for development and deployment, such as when routine updates need to be done, whose turn it is, when it's appropriate, if you're troubleshooting, at what point it's appropriate to flag a project manager or notify the client. Just things like that, standard development stuff. What we're working on, and we're not quite there yet with, is putting the task ticket numbers from Asana into our Git comments. We do this consistently for help desk. Asana, we manage our help desk tickets through Asana. And there's always a help desk ticket number that we can copy and paste into the Git comment. We're working on getting to that level for every single task we complete and having a cross-reference between the task management and the Git repository for all work. And finally, this seems obvious, but you do need to have, or at least it's very useful to have, some kind of login and a password management system. We use 1Password, and that way if someone needs a plugin license or they need to open a support ticket with a service or they need to find some test site login, everyone knows to go to the password management software and it's going to be in there.
That's it, right?
Oh,
Is that it?
video conferencing.
Yes, it's me.
Yes.
Okay, I'm in the right place. Most of you in the audience are probably familiar with Zoom and Google Meet. Both are video conferencing tools that allow you to meet with one or many people, and we use Zoom to allow us to spend quality time together with our faces. The image on the left here is our DevCollab team, and the image on the right is a Halloween call with one of our clients, Futures and Options, based out of New York City. We use video calls for documentation and client communication. Zoom has assistive AI for transcripts and closed captioning. We also use Zoom recording training to record training videos with our client teams, and we upload those recordings to a central repository that our team and the client can access.
When you're working remotely, it's useful to include your name and your pronouns in the little ID title area. People make different assumptions based on their cultural background about the gender of names or clothing colors or haircuts. For example, I did not know that in Ireland, it's totally normal for a man to be named Christy, and we met our Irish client, Christy. I spent the first few minutes of the call wondering who this guy was, why he was using his coworker's Zoom, and when Christy was going to show up. It was a little embarrassing. Just reduce confusion, put your pronouns in there, and spare everybody the potential for embarrassment. Also, Zoom is sort of a lower fidelity communication style than in person. Less information is getting through because you don't have the body language and position. You're not turning your head to make eye contact. So be extra expressive. Use more detail in your speech. Use emojis, thumbs up, big happy smiles, frowny faces, whatever. And also listen harder. The flip side of that is you want to be more sensitive, be more open to what people are saying, give them the benefit of the doubt, be more compassionate in your communication online.
That's it.
Yay. Yay, we're done. Okay.
You first, right?
Yeah, so in conclusion, practicing good work and collaborating with a team is entirely impossible when working with a remote environment. You can have fun and get things done.
Be mindful of each other's needs, have fun together, and use the tools that help you respect each other's time and capacity. We encourage each of you to consider not just the constraints, but the possibilities too. Any questions?
First of all, great job. That was awesome. Took a lot of pictures of slides and things to discuss with folks later on. I'm curious about when you're in a Zoom meeting or a Google meeting, the screen cap that you all showed, you were all camera on. Do you have any kind of like corporate policy of like camera on, camera off? Like, how do you like? Are you camera on with clients or optional? Internal. Like, how do you all deal with that?
We don't have a policy. We are always camera on with clients. And when it's internal, we are generally camera on. The exception is if someone announces that they're eating, they can be camera off. And we do have a team member who's less sociable than me, who doesn't enjoy attending every social meeting. And we have no problem with them being camera off if they prefer in an internal meeting. Client meetings, always camera on.
Other questions?
Hi. I really like the idea of the user guide for each employee. Could you have an example of that available for
Yes.
download or
Yep.
whatever after the meeting?
If I can figure out how the mouse works.
Yeah, it's going to be in
Yes,
our
it's
slides.
here. These will be circulated, so you'll be able to click the link. This link will be accessible to everybody. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, they're on our shared team drive, and you can just go browse them at your leisure, which I sometimes do. Sometimes it's like, oh, what pet does Allie have again? And so I can be polite in conversation.
I have a question about your care. I love the care for your care language. I would like to have that slide. And was that something you developed preparatory, or how did you get that? Did you find it somewhere?
I honestly think we found this intro deck somewhere online and then branded it and rewrote it for our organization, and it was in there.
Yeah.
I also did a talk on love languages at a digital project management summit a couple years ago, and so we adopted some of what I talked about into those slides as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to be like, I need to get work done, and if they're like talking, it can seem like you're rude, but I can't handle so much
Totally.
talking. Like, I got to get this done. And I'm not to be mean, but if the people know that you don't operate that way, they can say, oh, well, she gonna be working, so maybe I shouldn't be talking so much. Like, I can do hello, but not.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's useful to know that about each other, and it's useful to have a meeting where you actually come out and say it, so everyone's like, oh, yeah, you are kind of like that. That's just you, huh? Does anybody want to see the Asana harvest integration? Oh, no. Another question.
Just one more question on the more like informal things. I thought those were great. I think that's kind of where our remote team is lacking, is on some of that, especially with like the introvert extrovert thing. I'm like an extrovert raging from my pores. And when I first onboarded, I was onboarded on the team with the two biggest introverts in the company. It took me a solid 4 weeks to figure out they didn't hate me. But anyway, could you talk a little bit more about those like informally things that you have going on? Like you had like it sounded like a Friday kind of informal, and like how does that like just add a little more insight to it?
So our Monday meetings, Monday for our project managers it's just a wall of meetings. We do individual forecasting first, and then we meet at 11 and kind of duke out if there's overages, whose time is going to come down on which project and why. And then we bring the team together and we talk about those decisions. There's a 15-minute overlap on our Monday meetings where we get updates from the business owners about what sales are in the pipeline, what's coming through, what's fallen short, how everything's going. But we always talk about our weekends first, so everybody has an opportunity to like decompress and really get into Monday. And our Friday afternoon dev chats they can be technical, in which case the project managers and the owners might not go. But it's an opportunity for the development team, who is mostly introverts, to get together and work through problems together. Once a month to once a quarter, we do a social hour. It's usually during the workday. It's just an hour that everybody has free. Everybody's invited. It's optional. If your work is overwhelming, you don't have to go. But if you do go, we don't talk about work at all. We talk about anything but work. We play games. We socialize. We recently did a quiz about wildflowers. That was interesting. So just stuff like that.
Just like
we
BuzzFeed
try to
quizzes.
keep it light. Like Erin and Johanna, the owners of DevCollab, truly lead from a place of we are human beings first. First, we are human being, and then we are humans doing. So we try to honor that and respect that and really harness that information, that value.
Yeah, and I guess from the introvert developer point of view, I always feel welcome reaching out to the project managers with any issues I have technically. I very rarely have issues with other coworkers, but yeah, there's just a general sense of welcoming that if you have a problem to raise related to work, there are times when you can do that. If I have a technical issue I want addressed by the other developers, our team agenda for the Friday meetings is kept in a shared Google document, so I can just go type it in. I don't need to bring it up to anyone else or confront anyone. It's just going to be listed in the agenda, and then depending on time, we may or may not get to it, but it's present in that document for everyone to see from week to week.
Other questions?
That's Corey.
Hi, thanks. In terms of developer collaboration, could you talk a little bit about that? Do you do like PR, like pull request reviews, or what does that look like at your company?
We're not that sophisticated yet. We're kind of working toward that. We're all using VS Code, but we've just started adopting the same modules for like debugging and delinting and whatnot. So we're also working as a backend developer. I'm kind of working on one part of the code, and then the front end developer is working on the other part of the code. So we are communicating via Slack, we're communicating via Zoom in whatever meetings or discussions we have, but we're not at the level of sophistication or complexity that a larger team or one working on more complex projects might have.
We also have our lead front-end developer works in both WordPress and Drupal, so she's on both teams. And our product owner also overlaps both teams. So this is part of how we're trying to streamline the work that we do and how we work together, is by bringing those two into all of the conversations that have to do with where we overlap.
Yeah, but we're definitely not like as, into the DevOps, the formal processes of code developments as some other agencies are.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Cool.
All right, we got a little time before the next session, so thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day and joining us today. Hope you
Thanks.
enjoyed it.
Oh, can we get a selfie? Would anybody
yeah.
like to be in the selfie with us?
Can we get a picture with the group? Would that be okay? Yeah? Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh no, we'll just turn around, and if everyone could just like wave or smile. No, just look like you're happy to be here. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening.